I never thought I'd be the type of guy to get blindsided like this. But here I am, sitting in my living room, reeling from something I still can't fully wrap my head around. My name's Mike, and I've been with Lisa for about 7 years now. We got married 3 years ago, and honestly, I thought things were solid. We had our ups and downs, sure, but I always believed we were in it for the long haul. She was smart, beautiful, a little bitchy sometimes, but I loved her. Or at least I thought I did. It all started about 2 months ago. I was working on this project for my remote asteroid mining gig. Think of it like a space job, but from home. I'd be digitized, fully immersed in a virtual environment for hours on end, controlling robotic drills and analyzing asteroid samples. It's a strange gig, but I was used to it. The company had all these protocols to verify that you were fully engaged, and I always made sure to follow the rules. Well, mostly. Lisa had been acting weird for a while, but I chalked it up to her being bitchy as usual. She's always been a bit difficult, high maintenance, sarcastic, quick to snap, but I figured her attitude was just part of her personality. She'd complain about me working late, but I'd brush her off. She'd make snide comments about my friends or how I spent my weekends, but I told myself she was just jealous or bored. It wasn't until I noticed her phone acting up that I started to get suspicious. One evening, I was in the middle of a shift, completely digitized, totally cut off from the physical world. My headset was on and I was deep in some asteroid simulation. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. I usually ignore notifications during work, but this one caught my eye. It was Lisa texting someone named Alex, asking if they could meet up tonight after her shift. That wasn't unusual. I knew she had a few friends, but the way she phrased it, it felt different, like she was hiding something. Then I saw the timestamp. It was from earlier that day, right when I'd been logged into the virtual environment. That was weird. I know I was fully immersed, but how could she be texting someone in the real world? Something didn't add up. I started digging around, looking at her social media, her messages, anything that could give me a clue. That's when I found the photo, the one that made my stomach drop. It was her, lying in bed with some guy I'd never even heard of, their faces close, and the caption, "Best night ever." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My wife, my partner, was cheating on me with someone she called her friend. I felt this surge of anger, but also this deep, searing hurt. How could she lie to me every day, make me believe we were okay while she was sneaking around? It was like I'd been living a lie, and the worst part was, I had no idea how long this had been going on. All I knew was that I'd been completely blind to it. I was still in my virtual world, working hard, thinking everything was normal, and she was out there, hiding her affair right under my nose. That's when I knew I needed to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. The betrayal was too raw, too real. I didn't sleep that night, how could I? Instead, I started planning my next steps, trying to figure out what to say, how to catch her in her lies, or if I even wanted to hear the truth. But deep down, I knew I'd never see her the same way again. The next day, I knew I had to confront her. There was no way I could keep pretending I didn't see that photo. It was like a grenade going off in my head, explosive and impossible to ignore. I didn't want to just accuse her out of nowhere, so I kept my cool, at least on the surface. I waited until she came home from her shift, trying to act normal, but inside I was boiling. Every time I saw her, I felt this mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal, all tangled up into one raging mess. When she finally walked in, she threw her usual bitchy look my way. "What's your problem today? You look like your dog just died." That was her way of brushing things off, like I was just overreacting. But I wasn't about to let her steamroll me. I took a deep breath and dropped the bomb. I told her I knew about the messages with Alex, the photo, everything. Her face froze for a second, and then that same bitchy smirk appeared, like she was trying to play it cool. "Oh, that," she said, rolling her eyes. "It's nothing, just some stupid joke. You really think I'd cheat on you, please? You're so paranoid, it's pathetic." But her voice cracked just a little, and I could tell she was lying. I pressed her further, asking why she lied, why she was hiding things, and how long this had been going on. Her excuses came fast. She said they were just friends, that it wasn't serious, that I was overreacting because I was so caught up in my stupid space work that I didn't pay attention to her. I felt like I was losing my mind. How could she be so callous, so dismissive? Her tone was bitchy and dismissive, like she was annoyed that I was making a scene. She told me I was insecure, that I was imagining things, and that I needed to get a grip. But I wasn't buying it. The whole time she was talking, I saw through her lies. She was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt what I saw, what I knew. It was classic, but it didn't work. Inside, I was shattered. My trust was broken in ways I never thought possible. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs. Maybe I was too busy with work, too distracted. Maybe I should have seen it coming. But deep down, I knew I'd never forget that photo, that moment when I realized she'd been cheating on me with some guy who probably meant nothing to her, but meant everything to me. The betrayal cut deep, and I knew I had to decide what to do next. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, pretending everything was fine. I wanted answers, and I wanted her to admit what she'd done. That's when she started turning it around, saying I was the one at fault for not paying enough attention, for working so much that I neglected her. She called me selfish, said I was always gone, always busy in that damn virtual world. Honestly, it was like she was trying to rewrite history, make herself the innocent victim when I knew better. My mind was racing. How could I trust her again? Was this just a fling? Or was it something more? I felt this terrible mix of rage and heartbreak, like I was losing control. The only thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't stay silent anymore. I needed to figure out what to do, and I needed to do it fast. After that confrontation, everything felt like it was spinning out of control. I couldn't focus at work, I couldn't sleep, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw that damn photo, her lying in bed with that guy, and the stupid caption. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I let this happen. But the truth was, I had no choice but to face it. I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent or that it was all just a mistake. I needed solid proof, and I knew I wasn't going to get it just by sitting around waiting for her to slip up again. So I started digging. I went through her phone when she wasn't looking, downloaded every app, checked her message history. I wanted to catch her in the act, or at least find something that proved she was still lying. It was disgusting feeling. Like a damn detective in your own life, but I was desperate. That's when I remembered something I'd read about her virtual routines. She'd been doing this weird thing lately, saying she'd be working late, but I'd notice her online in some virtual space, chatting with the same guy. I didn't understand the tech at first, but I learned she'd been doing extended virtual immersion work, some kind of remote operation in a simulated asteroid environment. She'd be fully digitized, or so I thought, but the records showed something strange. It was like she was still physically interacting with someone, tangible, real-world contact, even when she was logged in. I found some physical verification records, logs of her movements, and they showed her meeting with him, going out for coffee, grabbing dinner, entirely unauthorized and inconsistent with her supposed virtual work. I couldn't believe it. She'd been cheating on me in the real world, right under my nose, while she was supposedly working. That was the moment I felt my stomach drop again, but now it was mixed with a horrible sense of betrayal I'd never experienced before. I had all the proof I needed, and I was furious. I did want to just confront her again. I wanted to catch her off guard, make her feel what I felt, completely betrayed. So I planned my move carefully. I rigged my phone to record the next time she left her device open, and I kept a close eye on the physical logs. I decided I'd go all in, catch her in her own lie, and force her to face the truth. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool who would turn a blind eye to her lies anymore. I wanted her to see that I knew everything. The next few days I watched her, silent, observing. When she left the house for a meeting that I knew was with him, I followed her. It was crazy, like I was some kind of stalker, but I needed to see what she was doing in the real world. Sure enough, she met with him at that cafe, and they exchanged more than just words. I saw her touch him, hug him, and even kiss him briefly before she got into her car. I watched her drive away with this smug look on her face, like she was untouchable. That's when I knew I had to do something drastic. I couldn't just walk away from this, not after everything. I went back home, my mind racing, trying to plan my next move. I knew I'd confront her again, but this time it would be different. I wanted her to understand that I'd seen everything, that I wasn't going to be a fool anymore. I felt a strange mix of relief and rage. Relief because I finally had proof, and rage because I couldn't believe she'd been doing this behind my back all this time. How could she lie so easily? How could she pretend she was working when she was out with her lover? My feelings were all over the place, but one thing was clear. I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not without a fight. I didn't sleep that night. Instead of lying in bed, I stayed up, replaying everything I'd seen and learned. The real world was worse than I'd ever imagined, and I was furious at myself for missing all the signs. How could I have been so blind? How could I have trusted her after everything? The betrayal was deeper than I thought, and I felt like my heart was being ripped apart. But I also knew I couldn't let her see how much she'd hurt me, at least not yet. I needed to keep my cool and plan my next move carefully. The morning came too quickly. I decided I'd confront her face to face, but I wanted to do it on my terms. I set up a camera in the living room, just in case she tried to deny anything, and I prepared my questions. When she finally came home, I was already waiting, calm but with a fire burning behind my eyes. She looked at me and immediately sensed something was wrong. "Lisa," I said, voice steady, "I saw everything. The messages, the photos, the physical logs. You've been cheating on me, haven't you?" Her face froze for a second, then her bitchy attitude reappeared. "Oh, really? You're nuts. You think I'd do that? You're just paranoid because you're never here. You're so busy in your stupid virtual worlds that you don't even notice what's happening around you." That was her usual bullshit, trying to dismiss everything, twist it around, make me look like the crazy one. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I reached for the phone, showing her the video footage I'd recorded, her meeting with him, her touching him, the physical contact. Her eyes widened, and for a second there was this flicker of guilt, but then she snapped. "Fine," she spat, "maybe I fucked up, but it's not like I love him, it's just sex, okay? Just a stupid mistake. You're overreacting, you always do." Her tone was dismissive and bitter, like she was trying to minimize what she'd done. I felt this surge of rage, heartbreak, and disgust all at once. How could she be so callous? How could she lie so convincingly? It was like she wanted to make me feel crazy, like I was losing my mind. I told her I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not anymore. I told her I knew the truth, and that I deserved better than a wife who cheated and gaslit me at every turn. Her reaction just made me angrier. She called me clingy, paranoid, and said I was the problem, not her. She told me I should just accept that she's human, that everyone makes mistakes, and that I needed to get over my insecurities. I wanted to scream at her, but I kept my voice even. I knew this was only the beginning, and I wasn't going to let her spin her lies anymore. The one thing I couldn't shake was the feeling of betrayal, like my world had shattered into a million pieces. I'd trusted her with everything, and now I saw her for what she really was. Someone who lied, cheated, and tried to manipulate her way out of accountability. I looked at her, and inside I knew I had a choice to make: stay and fight for something that was already broken, or walk away from the wreckage. I wasn't sure what I'd do yet, but one thing was clear: my life, my heart, and my trust had been compromised in ways I never imagined. And I wasn't going to let her destroy me completely, not without a fight. The days that followed were a blur of emotion. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't focus. Every time I looked at her, I saw the betrayal etched into her face, the way she dismissed everything I uncovered with that bitchy smirk. I felt like a fool, but also like I'd been hit by a freight train. It was a strange mix of sadness, anger, and a deep sense of loss I didn't know how to handle. All I kept thinking was, how did I not see this coming? How did I let someone I loved do this to me? I decided I couldn't keep living in limbo. I needed a plan, something to bring closure, even if it meant cutting her out completely. I started looking into the details of her physical meetups, gathering all the evidence I could, her movements, her texts, everything. I wanted to be prepared. I knew I couldn't just throw her out without having a clear picture of what had happened. I also realized I needed to talk to someone, my brother, my closest friend, someone who could give me real advice. I couldn't keep everything bottled up. When I finally sat her down again, I was determined. I told her I knew about her affair, about the physical contact, that I wasn't going to be her fool anymore. I asked her directly if she loved him, if she saw a future with him, or if it was just some stupid fling. Her answer was a cold shrug. It's just sex. She said, nothing more, I don't care about him. I only married you because I was bored and you're convenient. That hit me like a punch in the stomach. Did she even care? Did she see me as anything more than a backup plan? I felt my heart break all over again. But I also felt this strange burst of clarity. This was it. I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent anymore. I had to decide whether to fight for this marriage or finally cut my losses and walk away. I told her I was done, that I couldn't trust her anymore, and that I needed time to think. I didn't want to argue, didn't want to yell. I just wanted her out of my life, at least for now. I explained I needed space, that I couldn't keep living with her knowing what she'd done. She rolled her eyes, calling me dramatic and overreacting, but I didn't care. The damage was done, and I was tired of pretending everything was okay. That night I sat alone, staring at the wall, trying to process it all. The betrayal, the lies, the heartbreak, it was too much to handle. I realized. I'd spent so much time trying to hold it all together, but she'd already shattered it. She didn't love me. She just wanted what she wanted, and I was just a placeholder. I knew I had to make a decision, stay and try to rebuild, or leave and start over. Honestly, I didn't see how I could ever trust her again. She turned out to be someone I barely recognized. But I also knew I deserved better than being cheated on and lied to every day. So I made up my mind. I was done with her games, done pretending I was okay. It was time to take control of my life again. I didn't want to be that guy who got played, who stayed in a toxic relationship just because he was scared of being alone. I knew I'd hurt, but I also knew I'd survive. The only question now was what my next move would be. And for the first time in a long while, I felt a little bit of hope. Hope that I could rebuild my life, even if it meant doing it without her. In the end, I packed my bags and left. It wasn't easy, far from it. I still remember the sinking feeling when I watched her pack her things, the look on her face like I was the villain. But honestly, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with pain. For so long, I'd been living in this state of denial, convincing myself everything was fine, that we could fix it. But that was a lie I told myself to keep going. The truth was, I was already broken, and she had been the one doing the breaking. Leaving her wasn't just about ending a marriage. It was about reclaiming my dignity, about finally seeing through her bullshit and realizing I deserved someone who wouldn't lie, cheat, or manipulate me. I'm not gonna lie. There's still a part of me that aches, that questions if I could have fought harder or tried to save what we had. But deep down, I know I did everything I could. And sometimes, love isn't enough when trust is gone. Since I moved out, I've been slowly putting my life back together. I've started therapy, something I should have done a long time ago. It's helped me process the betrayal and the pain, and more importantly, rebuild my confidence. I've also cut ties with her entirely. No contact, no texts, nothing. It's hard, especially when I catch myself thinking about what I lost or what I could have done differently. But I remind myself that I came out of this stronger, wiser. Looking back, I realize how much I overlooked, signs I dismissed, words I ignored, gut instincts I ignored because I didn't want to believe the worst. That's the real lesson here. Trust your gut. Don't let anyone treat you like you're disposable. And never underestimate the power of betrayal, especially when it comes from someone you love. It's a brutal lesson, but one I needed to learn. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, don't settle. Don't ignore the red flags or dismiss your feelings. If you find yourself in a situation where your partner is lying, cheating, or hiding things from you, confront it head-on. Because sooner or later the truth always comes out. And if it doesn't, you'll live with the guilt of never knowing. I'm not perfect and I still have wounds to heal. But I know now that I have the strength to move on, to rebuild, to trust again, and to find happiness. Without someone who would betray me so coldly. Life's messy, and sometimes love hurts like hell. But in the end, I learned that self-respect is worth more than any relationship built on lies. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me forever.